It's July 8, 2026, and Gianni Infantino has just walked into the biggest ethics crisis of his presidency, and he didn't even need to leave the World Cup to find it. 3 days earlier, an American striker named Folarin Balogun picked up a red card in the round of 32. Standard stuff. A suspension, a missed match, the kind of thing that happens in every tournament. Except this time, the President of the United States personally asked FIFA to review it. And FIFA did. Balogun's ban was suspended. He played in the round of 16 against Belgium. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second, because whatever you think about the red card itself, what just happened is that a sitting head of state picked up the phone, and the outcome of a FIFA disciplinary process changed. Within days, a London-based human rights group called FairSquare announced they were taking Infantino to the International Olympic Committee's Ethics Commission. 72 members of the European Parliament backed a formal investigation. UEFA publicly condemned the decision. This isn't fan outrage on social media, this is institutions, real institutions, saying FIFA's president has a neutrality problem. Welcome back to David's Soccer Stories. I'm David, and today, we are going beyond the pitch to uncover how the man running the world's biggest sporting event ended up accused, formally and repeatedly, of trading the credibility of that event for political favor. Here's what most casual fans don't know. This isn't FairSquare's first swing at Infantino. Back in December 2025, before the tournament even kicked off, the group filed a complaint with FIFA's own ethics committee. Their arguments centered on Article 15 of FIFA's Code of Ethics, the clause that requires anyone bound by it to stay politically neutral in their official duties. According to FairSquare, Infantino had breached that article on 4 separate occasions, and in every one of them, the common thread was the same: public support for Donald Trump. The most striking example, in my opinion, is the Peace Prize. FIFA created a brand new annual award, a Peace Prize, and at the World Cup draw ceremony in Washington in December, Infantino handed the very first one to Trump. FairSquare didn't just object to the optics. They asked FIFA's ethics committee to investigate something more specific. Was that decision approved by the FIFA Council, the governing body that's supposed to sign off on major moves like this? Or did Infantino just decide, on his own, to hand a sitting president an award created seemingly for that purpose? If it was the latter, FairSquare called it what I'd call it too, an abuse of power. And here's the part that really tells you something about how seriously FIFA is taking this internally. 7 months. That's how long it's been since that first complaint was filed, and FIFA's ethics committee has given no public update. When you analyze that kind of silence, it doesn't read as due process. It reads as an institution hoping the story dies quietly. It didn't. The Norwegian Football Federation formally backed the complaint. 50 members of the European Parliament wrote to FIFA in support. This was building well before the Balogun incident ever happened. So let's go back to that red card, because I think this is where the story stopped being about symbolism and started being about actual competitive integrity. Balogun's suspension was overturned days before the USA faced Belgium. Trump had publicly said he'd asked Infantino to review the case. Infantino, for his part, denied being personally involved in the final call. But here's the thing about denial in a moment like this: it doesn't really matter whether Infantino pulled the lever himself or whether pressure simply trickled down through the organization. The outcome is identical either way. A World Cup disciplinary decision moved because a president lobbied for it. When I looked closely at the reaction, what struck me wasn't just FairSquare's complaint. It was UEFA, European football's own governing body, publicly criticizing the decision. It was 72 MEPs demanding a formal investigation. These aren't fringe voices. These are the exact institutions that are supposed to trust FIFA's disciplinary process is clean. And this is where the story widens beyond one red card. FIFA's chief referee official, Pierluigi Collina, warned that allegations of bias against officials could provoke real threats against referees and their families. Think about what that means. The controversy isn't staying in boardrooms and ethics filings anymore. It's creating a climate where match officials, the people making split-second calls in front of billions of viewers, now have to worry that a controversial decision might follow them home. I think that's the real cost here. Not the red card itself, not even the Peace Prize ceremony, it's the erosion of trust in every decision FIFA makes from here on out. Once you introduce the possibility that political pressure can change an outcome, every close call at this World Cup gets viewed through that lens. Now here's the twist that I think most coverage of this story misses. FairSquare isn't just refiling the same complaint. They're escalating it past FIFA entirely, straight to the IOC's Ethics Commission. Why does that matter? Because Infantino has been a member of the International International Olympic Committee since 2020, and the IOC lists neutrality as one of the foundational principles of Olympism itself. That gives an outside body, one FIFA doesn't control, actual jurisdiction to investigate him. When IOC President Kirsty Coventry was asked about it directly, she confirmed no complaint had landed on her desk yet, but said plainly that if one did, they'd look into it. That's the mechanism FairSquare is now trying to trigger. And when you step back and analyze the strategy, it's actually pretty smart. FIFA investigating its own president is what's produced 7 months of silence. The IOC investigating him is a different animal, entirely different rules, different accountability, and reputational stakes that extend beyond football into the entire Olympic movement. The punishment on the table, if FIFA's own ethics committee ever does act, isn't nothing either: a fine starting at roughly $12,000 and up to a 2-year ban from all football-related activity. For the sitting president of FIFA, a ban like that would be seismic. So where does this actually leave us? I think the uncomfortable truth is that we're watching, in real time, what happens when the person running the world's most watched sporting event builds a personal relationship with political power, and then that power gets used inside the competition itself. Infantino denies wrongdoing. The Peace Prize decision, the Balogun review, the relationship with Trump, none of it has been proven, in any formal sense, to be a violation. That's exactly why these complaints exist, to force an actual answer instead of a denial. But here's the question I keep coming back to. If a president can pick up a phone mid-tournament and change a disciplinary outcome, what does neutrality even mean anymore inside FIFA? And if the IOC does take this case, are we looking at the first real external check on Infantino's power since he took office? I want to know what you think. Drop your theory in the comments. Do you think this ends in an actual investigation, or does it quietly disappear the way the December complaint did? If you want more of these deep dives into the stories happening beneath the surface of the game we love, subscribe to David's Soccer Stories, because we're going beyond the pitch every single week, and this story is far from over.